December 12, 1993, a cold and silent night in Lukiškės prison. A man sits alone in his cell, waiting for the inevitable. He does not beg for mercy. He does not fear death. He embraces it, refusing to write a plea to president and asking for the punishment to come quicker. In just a few hours, he will face the firing squad, a man whose crimes were so horrific that it shocked the entire nation. The strangest thing is that he committed horrible acts to people that helped him, fed him, and helped his deaf and mentally disabled daughter. Oh, and that 20-year-old daughter was part of his crime spree. But who was he, and how did he end up here, sentenced to death with no hope of escape? Valentinas Laskys was born in 1953 in Kaunas, Lithuania. From the moment he entered the world, his life was marked by neglect and hardship. As an infant, he was taken from his alcoholic mother due to severe malnutrition and placed in an orphanage. He never knew the comfort of a family, never had anyone to nurture or guide him. Instead, he grew up among the cold, sterile walls of an institution. Orphanages in Soviet Lithuania were harsh places, where discipline was enforced through brutality, and survival often meant becoming just as ruthless as the system around you. But Valentinas was different. He was quiet and observant, but beneath the surface, something dark and twisted was beginning to fester. His mother later on was killed in a car accident while drunk, crushed by a truck. His father, meanwhile, was serving a prison sentence for a car accident. By the time he was in the 5th grade, he was already listed in the juvenile records. Later, he was sent to a special institution for troubled youth, Valentinas boarding school. At 21, he had his first conviction. Over the course of his life, he would be convicted 6 times, always for robberies. 15 of his 40 years were spent behind bars. His early crimes were small, petty thefts, breaking into stores, but by the time he was a teenager, he had learned a valuable lesson. Violence got results. But in 1990s, as Lithuania was on the brink of reclaiming its independence, Laskys made a chilling decision. He no longer wanted just money. He wanted blood. Despite his criminal past, Laskys had another side to him, at least as a young man. Virginia Daugelienė, the daughter of one of his victims, shared a different perspective.
He was a very good boy from the village, she recalled. One family would take him from the orphanage during summer vacations. He helped them with farm work, weeding the gardens, and harvesting the crops. He did everything they asked of him, always working hard without being asked. He even went to dance with us. He tried to court me, saying, "We're a couple, Virginia. You're so good." We were 15, maybe 16.
When asked why he was moved from the orphanage to the special boarding school, Laskys explained,
"There was this educator. I even remember his name. He would beat us with a rope if we misbehaved or didn't study. Out of revenge, I slashed his motorcycle tires, and that's why they moved me."
Laskys' path was one of inevitable darkness, where the seeds of violence, planted early in his life, would grow into something more sinister. The first confirmed murder occurred in February 1991. Valentinas Laskys arrived at a remote village in the Panevėžys region, where he set up a camp in a tent. After surveying the area, he entered the home of V. Lupeikytė. She offered him shelter and even gave him clothes that had belonged to her late husband. But Laskys wasn't content with just that. He wanted money. When she gave him 35 rubles, he became enraged, realizing she likely had more. He strangled her with a scarf to stop her from interfering as he searched for the rest of the cash. Then he fled. In May of that year, Laskys traveled to the village of Valiučiai in Utena to visit a friend named Vanagas. However, after a short time, Vanagas asked him to leave. Laskys, upset, borrowed an axe and offered to chop firewood for an elderly woman, L. Masalauskienė, living nearby. When the woman failed to pay him amount he demanded, he strangled her as well. He then took the woman's valuables and left. The third murder took place in September in Visbarai, Raseiniai district. Laskys visited P. Jankūnienė, an acquaintance from childhood, and asked for a snack. After drinking with her, he pulled out a knife and demanded money. When the few dozen rubles she provided weren't enough, While searching for valuables in the room, he noticed the victim attempting to rise, and he strangled her again using her scarf. Meanwhile, his daughter was in the next room searching for valuables, not even paying attention to the dying old woman. In October, in Palemonas, Laskys and his daughter sat on the bench drinking wine when they saw a man drive away from a nearby house. They decided to rob it. They attacked the homeowner, M. Pavydienė, hitting her and threatening to kill her. His daughter, Renata, struck Pavydienė in the face with a shard of glass after breaking a window. They entered the house and stole the most valuable items inside. The last known murder happened in Minsk, where Alexander K. was found in his apartment, repeatedly stabbed. His valuables had been taken. Laskys has spent a week working and living with him and his daughter, and after a friendly farewell, he later returned, claiming he just wanted to borrow money. When the elderly man said he didn't have any, Laskys tortured him until he revealed where he kept his savings, in a jar in a shed. Valentinas was enraged by the man's refusal to provide the money initially. Laskys' actions seemed to reflect an unrelenting need to punish anyone who denied him or disrespected his demands. He perceived any refusal as a deep insult, something that could not be forgiven. If he wanted something, it was his right to have it, and anyone standing in his way was to be punished. Violence and retribution were not just justified, they were necessary. But Laskys wasn't finished. Fleeing Belarus, he disappeared into the chaos of post-Soviet Russia, drifting between Moscow, Georgia, and eventually Moldova. His daughter, Renata, didn't just follow her father. She was deeply involved in the murders. However, just how involved she was remains a mystery to this day, leaving a chilling gap in the story of this deadly duo. By 1991, Valentinas Laskys and his daughter Renata were among the most wanted criminals in Lithuania. Their names appeared on international police bulletins, and law enforcement was closing in. For over a year, they evaded capture, but in 1992, their luck ran out. Laskys was finally caught in Moldova. Then came 1993, the trial of Valentinas Laskys. The evidence against him was overwhelming. 4 confirmed murders, 10 violent robberies. The court had only one option. He was sentenced to death. Psychologists who analyzed Laskys' behavior.
A person like that doesn't care about societal standards or rules if they oppose his will,
Explained psychologist Dr. Eugenius Laurinaitis.
His desires are all that matters. These individuals can be highly educated, but it doesn't change their core values. Their value system revolves around themselves and their wants. Everything else is irrelevant. When discussing those who committed serious crimes, there are often individuals with poor impulse controls. When they want something, their previous inhibitions are pushed aside. Their desire becomes all-consuming. It's only afterward, once the damage is done, that they might pause and reflect on what they have done. But by then, it's too late.
But unlike most criminals who would plead for mercy, Laskys did not beg. He did not write a desperate letter for the president asking for clemency. He did not fight his fate. He embraced it. And so, on December 12, 1993, Valentinas Laskys faced a firing squad. He did not resist. The executioner pulled the trigger, and with that, his reign of terror came to an end. But what about his daughter, Renata Laskytė? While she was not sentenced to death, she did not walk free. For her role in her father's crimes, she was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Yet, some sources suggest that she was an active participant, fully aware of and assisting in this crime. Others speculate she might have been coerced, manipulated by her father into becoming his accomplice. In the strange twist of fate, Laskys was not the only man to die that night. Another criminal, Vladimiras Ivanovas, was executed the very same day for the brutal murder of a mother and her 4-year-old daughter. These were among 7 executions carried out in Lithuania before the death penalty was abolished in 1998. And in my next video, we're going to talk about the second execution from that night. So, if you want to hear that story, make sure to subscribe. Today, Lithuania no longer carries out a death penalty, but the story of Valentinas Laskys serves as a chilling reminder of a time where justice was delivered at the barrel of a gun. A man who embraced death, a man whose past remains shrouded in darkness. More chillingly, a good man, a friend, a helpful neighbor that had no remorse for human life. Not a shred of it. The question is, was he born a monster, or did the world make him one? That will be it for today's case. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, clicking the like button, subscribing, or even sharing this video helps a lot, and you get karma points in return. What are your opinions on that sentence? Should it still be a thing, or was it a barbaric relic from the past? I'd love to hear from you. Anyways, thanks for watching, stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you next